Hey everyone, Michelle Alexandria coming at you with another CinemaCon report. Uh, we just wrapped up the Warner Brothers presentation. So once again, I'm gonna have to give this a disclaimer. I've already forgotten half of the things that they showed at this presentation, so forgive me if I miss a couple of movies. This is what happens when I'm not able to take notes, people. I'm old. I am getting old. Getting old sucks. I used to have an amazing memory. So I have my trusty laptop here, so I'm gonna go through some of my notes here on some things on the fly. So let's just dive right in. This will be kind of a quickish video because so far these presentations have been a little bit disappointing. Although I do have to say I loved everything that they showed at Warner Brothers tonight. It was really it's been good. It's been good. So let's start with one battle after another. The show kicked off with basically Leonardo DiCaprio. I wanted to say DiCaprio for some reason, but Leonardo DiCaprio. And I'm looking up the other two, Regina King, and I'm trying to find the third woman. The third woman in the cast. So it was Paul Thomas Anderson. I'm trying to think. Did Paul Thomas Anderson come out? I'm trying to think. Did he come out, or was it just the cast and the head of the studio interviewing the cast? But so Leonardo came out, Regina King came out, and then the third woman. I don't know her name. I wish IMDb wasn't so crappy these days. Let me try IMDb. IMDb has gotten so crappy in the last couple of years, in the last year or so. But let's say one battle after another. So I'm just trying to find the name. The third lady. Oh, Tiana Taylor. So it was Leonardo DiCaprio, Regina King, and Tiana Taylor. They came out. They spent about 10 minutes talking about the movie. And everything that they did to make the movie. And it was great. Tiana Taylor was really funny in how she described her character because she said her character is basically an asshole, a selfish asshole, is essentially how she described her character, that she's an unlikable, selfish asshole with the heart of gold. So she was really funny. Regina King talked about how she liked working with Leonardo DiCaprio. So the standard pablum and the back and forth for about 10 minutes. Seemed like there was a lot of good chemistry. And Leonardo was looking clean shaven and looking pretty good. A lot of times Leonardo can look really scruffy and kind of like, really scruffy. But like he does in the trailers for this movie. So then they talked about the movie for about 10 minutes, and then they came out and showed us some footage. So it was basically about 3 minutes footage, and it was a kind of funny scene, but it was weird. I love Paul Thomas Anderson. I love his movie. I love every movie he's done. Boogie Nights, I like Licorice Pizza, and he's done a couple of other things that I really liked as well. But Boogie Nights is GOAT. Boogie Nights is the GOAT. So yeah, I will always give a Paul Thomas Anderson movie. I didn't like Punch Drunk Love. I hated that movie. But I will always give PTA his props and a chance. And I like Leonardo DiCaprio well enough. So yeah, I think this is going to be a really good movie. The footage was really great. And it's still really weird trying to figure out what this movie is actually about, because so far all the footage in the trailers, I can't tell what this movie is about. But the clip that they showed was a clip Leonardo on the phone with his daughter's kidnappers, and Benicio's is in the house with them getting his guns and doing stuff that's funny in the background. So you have the standard PTA stuff where the seriousness is mixed in with some background sly humor. So Benicio's getting his guns out, and Leonardo's on the phone with a guy who kidnapped his daughter, demanding his code, and Leonardo's like, I've been on drugs for 30 years. I don't remember my code from 30 years ago. And Benicio's like, it's 815, and Leonardo is still going, I'm a burnout, and give me my daughter back, or I'm gonna shove a camera up your ass, and all this other stuff. So it was a funny clip, especially because it had that trademark Thomas Anderson humor to it, because the kidnapper is like, you're impacting my safe space right now. You're threatening me, and you're impacting my safe space. And Leonardo's like, I'm on the phone with you. How am I impacting your safe space? And I'm gonna come and get you and all that. So it was really funny. It was a weirdly cute scene. And then they showed the trailer after that scene, and the trailer had the daughter, I guess, shooting guns and becoming a revolutionary herself. It was weird. It was odd. So yeah, that was awesome, and I really loved that. I loved that segment. It was great. Then they did The Bride, and The Bride was wild. It was wild, and it's actually directed by one of my favorite Hollywood people, Maggie Gyllenhaal. And that's someone you don't. And every time I see her, I always say, that's someone who needs to be in more movies, because you just don't see her enough. But The Bride, and it's actually going to co-star her brother Jake. But yeah, it's directed by Maggie Gyllenhaal, and it's a unique take on The Bride of Frankenstein. I did not have that on my bingo list. So it's a unique take on Bride of Frankenstein. She calls it kind of like a punk rock. It's kind of like a punk rock Sid and Nancy kind of movie. Sid and Nancy, natural born killers kind of type of movie, where she was inspired because she was at a party and she saw some guy who had like the Bride of Frankenstein tattooed, and that's when she kind of got the idea for this movie. And she was like, in the original Bride of Frankenstein movie, the Bride of Frankenstein only speaks for like 2 minutes or something in the movie, and she's only in it for like 5 minutes. So she really wanted to tell this story and tell it from kind of the point of view of the Bride, and it stars in Christian Bale is playing Frankenstein. His makeup looks a little. His makeup is a little iffy. I'm a little. The makeup on Christian Bale's Frankenstein's monster looks a little sketchy, because it's not really much makeup on him. He just has like kind of he just kind of has some scars on his face, and he has like this trademark sewn in headpiece, and that's about it. It's nothing that makes you immediately think, oh, it's Christian Bale being Christian Bale and getting really deep into his character. I don't get that sense for this movie. It's Christian Bale. He's going to do an amazing job anyway. So I was it was a little weird just to see how little makeup that was. Whereas The Bride, she was in like full makeup and everything, and she was looking scary. And yeah, they're just going around killing people and trying to be in love or something. But it was really weird. It's an odd movie, but it's odd in a good way. It's not necessarily a horror movie, but it is going to be hyper violent. Like in one scene, you see Christian Bale like ram some guy's head up against the wall, and it's really bloody, and he keeps saying, "And we're going to be together until death do us part," and all this other stuff. So it looks wonderfully weird and wacky, and the color palette fits perfectly. So I'm really looking forward to The Bride, and it's and I never knew Maggie Gyllenhaal was a director. So yeah, it looked great. After that, we get an extended look at the Final Destination. Well, we get this weird segment where where the head of New Line Pictures comes out, and New Line talks about their history, and they bring back the classic New Line Pictures logo, which was really awesome. Because nostalgia, people. Sometimes nostalgia just works. So they talked about a little bit about New Line's history, and then they talked about Metal Gear Solid, not Metal Gear, Mortal Kombat 2. It was like, ooh, we're going to get some Mortal Kombat footage. But no, all we got was, and Mortal Kombat 2 is coming out in a few months, and Carl Urban is going to put, is going to play the iconic Johnny Cage, and that's about it. I mean, we did see a little bit of Mortal Kombat 2 footage in the scissor reel that they showed at the beginning of the Warner Brothers presentation, and the movie's pretty much done, so there's no reason for them not to give us like some new footage. And so it was weird that they just kind of showed a teaser, and that was all we got. And it was like, what are we doing? What are we doing here? So today's a weird day because this morning we got a look at I Know What You Did Last Summer, and then tonight we got a look at Final Destination. And I feel like I'm stuck in deja vu land here, where it's like everything I'm saying, I feel like everything I'm seeing at this year's CinemaCon are movies that seem to always be at CinemaCon for some reason. It's just weird. It's like this weird sense of deja vu I'm having, where it's like nothing seems to be moving forward. Like, you're even getting Superman again, so it just feels, I don't know, I kind of want something new. But I say that, but the clip they showed from Final Destination was absolutely brilliant. It was kind of the highlight of the night for me, actually. And maybe the day. The Bride was great. One Battle After Another was great. But Final Destination, they showed like a 5-minute clip of one of the death scenes. And it was brilliant. It's like these two friends are trying to figure out how to escape death. They know death is coming from them, and they're like, there's one or two ways you could escape death. You could kill someone, and have death go after. You could kill someone, and then death would skip you, or you could kill yourself, and death would skip you. So they were trying to come up with this plan of how to kill them, how they wanted to. They were brothers or cousins or friends or something. They never established this in this clip. But basically, the one guy was like, okay, you're going to kill yourself, and then I'm going to revive you. That way death would skip over you. And the guy's like, no, I'm not killing myself. But he's like, no, we're in the hospital. It'll be perfectly fine. So you see all the machinations of death working its magic in that classic Final Destination way. And it's brilliant because you see, like, so they had a plan. The one guy killing himself by eating peanuts because he has peanut allergy. So his friend is like getting him peanuts, and he's playing around with the vending machine. Of course, the vending machine's not working. So he's pushing and pulling this huge vending machine. And they're like, no, the vending machine is going to fall. And in classic Final Destination, what's the word? Mythology, or in classic Final Destination fashion, they tease the fact that, something's going to happen with that vending machine, and it doesn't happen. Then they go into this room with the MRI machine, and the MRI machine, where they do MRIs, and then they give the guy his peanut, then to trigger his peanut allergy, and then stuff happens. I don't want to spoil it, but it was both funny And as all Final Destination movies do, they bring the gore back. It was surprising. I was shockingly gory. I wasn't expecting it to be as gory as it was, and it was brilliantly done. The way they just brought it all together into this one absolutely horrifying moment. It was like, bravo! It was a brilliant 5 or 6 minute scene, and I am so looking forward to Final Destination. They also announced The Conjuring 2 is coming later this year. They announced that. And then they did a WB animation. They talked about how, oh, they're bringing back WB animation, and talked about how wonderful WB animation is. And I sat there, my mouth was kind of like, the hypocrisy, the blatant tone deafness of this entire session was astounding to me. Like they don't think people in this audience knows what's going on with WB animation and how they're totally gutted it, how they're removing it from mats, how they fired like half the staff of WB animation, and they're not doing the animation anymore, but they're like, hey, WB Animation, we have all these animated movies coming. We have 5 movies coming next year, and they showed the sizzle reel, and one of the part of the sizzle reel showed like this awful looking the Flintstones movie. Then they showed like the Looney Tunes, and they kept showing Bugs Bunny, and I'm sitting there going, ain't this some BS? Ain't this some tone deaf BS after everything they're doing with it? After how Zasanoff is destroying WB animation right now, absolutely destroying it. And we won't even get into the whole like shelving the Acme movie, Scooby Doo movie, and then shelving that Roadrunner movie thing, and then finally saving it by selling the license to it. Like just a couple of days ago, that announcement came out. Yet they're spending like 15 minutes of our time talking about how Warner Brothers really believes in animation and how wonderful animation is, and it's going to be a major part of their future and all this other stuff. And then to add insult to injury, they just kept showing Bugs Bunny, and you're like, after everything you guys are doing on the animation side, this is like rubbing salt into, like it's like taking your hands, raking it across someone's arm, and making it really bloody, and then pouring salt into the wound and then rubbing it in. That's what that entire sequence felt like. I was just like, what the actual f? And none of the stuff that they showed looked great. It didn't. It looked terrible. Cat in the Hat looked cute, but and then David Hayter it came out to talk about Cat in the Hat, and I'm sorry, but was it Dave? Let me before I slander him. I'm I just want to before I say anything that's going to make me look stupid, which has never stopped me before. But because it was because who uh I'm trying to remember Charlie. I'm trying to remember. Hold on. I'm, I need to find it. I need to find this answer. Who is Charlize Theron's ex-husband? Current husband. I can't find the answer on Google. People, I'm trying to find the answer. Hold on. Charlize Theron and okay, never mind. I still don't like the guy. I still don't like the guy. But I was thinking he's the one who served Charlize Theron the divorce papers at CinemaCon last year. So I was gonna go on this entire like unfounded rant about how much I don't like him because of that, but I don't like him. I just don't. I never have. That was just gonna be my righteous excuse not to like him, but I can't. But never mind. Never mind. No, I think it was Bill Hader, maybe, who served it. Whoever did it, I thought it was a pretty scummy move. Anyway, but anyway, where was I? So yeah, David Hayter came out to talk about Cat in the Hat and how and they had another jokey reel about him auditioning for the role of Cat in the Hat. It was like a couple of minutes. It was a few seconds. A joke reel, so it was kind of cute. After that, they talked about the thing that before we get to that, after that, they did F1. So my man Jerry Bruckheimer came out. It was Jerry Bruckheimer, and I forget who the other guy is. You see, I am terrible at this, people, but I'm terrible at this, but it was Jerry Bruckheimer and the other guy. I'm just going to call him the other guy because he didn't talk at all. It's Jerry Bruckheimer's world, people, and we just live in it. And I'm fine with that because I love me some Bruck. Cause it wasn't big. It was Bruck. It was Bruckheimer. So, but who's the other guy? Who's the director? The director of this movie? Oh, Joseph Kosinski. So it was Joseph Kosinski and Jerry Bruckheimer came out to talk about Formula One. They spent about 5 minutes talking about it. They really didn't say much, and it was all Bruckheimer talking about it. They talked about how they filmed it in full cooperation with the Formula One folks. So they were actually filming around the world at various races with their help. Even here in Vegas, they filmed scenes. And then we got the first 10 minutes of the movie. And I'm not going to lie. I don't want to say I dozed off a bit, but I didn't doze off, but I closed my eyes. It's been a long day because again, I didn't get any sleep. So it was all right. It was all right for what it was, but it wasn't. The first 10 minutes really didn't tell us much about the movie. They just showed us one race, one race at Daytona that Brad Pitt helped win, and after that, I don't really know what the point was. And it was like it was almost a 10-minute sequence. I mean, it looked great, but again, it wasn't anything that made me go wow because we just watched GTA last year, and GTA, the racing sequences in that were spectacular, and this was, this one wasn't as spectacular as I expected it to be. I don't know what I was expecting. I guess I was expecting to be wowed by it, but I was kind of whelmed by it. I think it's going to end up being a good movie. Like, once it comes out and I go see it, I'm sure I'm going to like it. It's just that there was nothing to this movie that made me go, wow, I really want to go see this movie right now, and I'm sad that I only got 10 minutes of it. No, I was kind of like, it was probably like 5 minutes too much. I was just ready to move on. And then the DC presentation was really disappointed because I expected a lot more than what we got. So basically, obviously, we were all there for Superman. We all wanted to see the new footage from Superman, from Superman, and basically, we got that, but it was a long way to get there. It was like basically a 20-minute session with the main start with Jane. So basically, Peter Safran came out. Peter Safran and James Gunn came out. They talked a little bit about Superman and what it meant to James Gunn, and then they brought the cast out. They brought out my man Nicholas Hoult, who's looking really good in his own. He's grown up pretty well. I feel like a cougar because I remember when he was in About a Boy, and I think I talked to him way back then for About a Boy, back when he was a little kid. So I'm feeling pretty old, people, pretty old. So and it was Rachel Brosnan came out. I just want to make sure I get the cast correct, but it was basically Nicholas Hoult, Rachel Brosnan, and David Hornswet all came out, and they spent about just 15-20 minutes talking about Superman, talking about their own set experiences, how they and why they love working with James Gunn. It was a real love fest going on, but they didn't really tell us anything about the movie or drop any like knowledge or sequence. Secrets. It just felt kind of like a waste of time. But there was this one funny moment where James Gunn talked about his dog, and he talked about how he adopted this ugly-looking dog from the kennel, and he said the dog was a jerk. The dog bit him, and it was just a bad dog. He loved the dog, but the dog was a jerk because the dog bit him. Dog tore up all this stuff, and all this other stuff. So it was really funny, and the dog jumped on him, and that's how he had the inspiration for Crypto. So it was really funny because the scene we saw was the full scene from the trailer where Superman got into a fight and he's basically lying in the snow and he's calling Crypto to come and help him. And you're like, oh, Crypto, good dog. And you think Crypto's gonna like just immediately grab him and take him home. But no, Crypto was like just a dick for like, for like a couple of minutes. And it was just so funny and cute. Because Crypto was exactly how James Gunn described his own dog, and Crypto was like jumping on top of the injured Superman, and he was doing everything but trying to take Superman home, and it was just so funny. It was just such a funny sequence, and then eventually, Crypto caught on to what he needed to do. So then he grabs the cape, and then he runs him home, and he runs into the Fortress of Solitude. And the Fortress of Solitude looks exactly like the Fortress of Solitude always. Just once I would like to see a Superman movie where the Fortress of Solitude looks like radically different and like really super modern and high tech and not like the glass spears and everything. It looks beautiful on the big screen, but I really wanted to see, I don't know, but when he goes into the Fortress of Solitude, you have the Superman robots trying to help him, because he has cracked ribs and he's just beaten to a bloody pulp, and his robot servants help him out and hit him with that sunlight, and then they finds out that Crypto destroyed, tore up a lot of stuff in the house. So it was cute. It was a really cute sequence. It showed a lot of humor. It shows what they're going for in this movie. And again, what they really emphasized, which I really liked, was that Superman is a hopeful character. He's about hope. He's about doing the right thing. He's not a dark, gritty character, and I really like that tone that they're going for. So I love that. And then they ended with the trailer, but the trailer was just the trailer that we already saw. So there was really like no new footage, weirdly enough, other than that one little 4 or 5 minute sequence with crypto. And I expected a lot more from this. I expected a good, you know, 10, 15 minutes of like all new original stuff and a new sizzle reel, but we didn't get any of that. So I don't know what's going on with this movie where it seems like they're just kind of scared to just kind of show it off, or maybe they're waiting. They want people to just experience it first in the theater. I don't know what's going on with Superman, but I didn't leave it feeling. I want to say I didn't leave the movie. I didn't leave this presentation feeling like positive about Superman. Like I walked in already kind of wanting to see it, but not super stoked to see it. But I'm sure I'm gonna love it when I do see it. And this presentation did not make me go wow. It did not. It didn't. It didn't like move that hype meter up. My hype meter when I walked in was like here, and when I walked out, it was still here. Like it didn't go down. It didn't go up. It was just like it stayed right in the middle. I think it's going to be good, but I wasn't super stoked about it, I suppose. But yeah, so that was the WB presentation. I would give it probably like a good B or A. I don't know. I would give it a B. There was nothing that made me go wow, but I did love what they showed. What little they really showed tonight. So like I love one battle after another. The Bride looks great, but that's not coming out until next February. Final Destination. Now my hype meter for that went from like here to here, and I love the Final Destination. Like I said earlier, I'm not a huge fan of horror movies, but you know, Nightmare on Elm Street, Final Destination. I Know What You Did Last Summer. Those are the type of horror movies I like, and Final Destination that clip was awesome. I love that clip. It hits all the right notes, so I'm really looking forward to that.